someone doesn't all the time. That would be bad. Let me just start off.
And welcome everybody to what is sure to be an incredibly exciting 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe. Joining me today from the Reynoldsburg Division of Police is Officers King and Marshall. Welcome.
Thank you.
Pardon the trophy here. We'll get to that in a little bit, but you know we got to make sure we have some bling out here to talk about some stuff. First off, let's just kind of start right off. Tell us a little bit about yourselves individually, you know, outside of the world of, you know, an officer. Tell us, you know, how long you've been an officer, you know, and eventually tell us why you wanted to be one. But tell us a little bit about yourselves. Let's get to know you guys.
Yeah. So I am married. I have 2 kids. When I was young, I always dressed up as a cop, always did something in public service, including my whole family. So my mom was a nurse. My grandma's still a nurse. So it's always kind of been in the family gene to do some type of public service. So when I got older, the first thing I did after I got out of high school, I went to fire school, became a firefighter, and then I went to Franklin County, worked there for a year. Then I went to the state patrol, did that for 3 years, and now I'm here serving a community where I actually grew up. So I've been total law enforcement for 5 years.
Officer Marshall. I was born in Toledo, Ohio, and grew up most of my life there. Moved to Reynoldsburg, and when I was a teenager, I went to high school here, and I did an internship with the actual Reynoldsburg Police Department while I was in high school, and I also did an internship at pharmacy. And I was like, which one do I do? And there was no question what I wanted to do. It was get in law enforcement. So I did a lot of stuff with our on the internship with SWAT, some court stuff, ride-alongs, all that, and that just piqued my interest. Became a police officer in 2000 with Bowling Green. I did that for a few years, moved back to the Reynoldsburg area, and I've been on with Reynoldsburg Police for 15 years. So I have 22 years experience as a police officer. And why I enjoy this so much is it really is getting out in the community for what we do, but it does have a lot to do with helping people and be part of your community that you live in, and that's a big part of why I really enjoy it. So I'm a resident here. I have a son and a daughter I've raised here, so I really enjoy being a police officer in our community and being part of all of this. So that's what's big for me. So that's a little bit about myself.
Well, you kind of mentioned something there. You know, for me, it was trying to figure out, all right, we all know what police officers are, we know what detectives are, but it's a lot more nuanced than that. And you guys actually fit into, I know this is a shock to everybody out there that knows them, they fit in their own special category.
That's right.
You guys are community officers.
Yes.
So what exactly does that mean, community officers, and, you know, why is it that you guys seem to take to it really well? So what is a community officer?
So a community officer is a partnership between the PD and the community. So partnership meaning we go out there, we meet our business owners, you know, we attend community events that goes on in the city. We win cool trophies like this to bring back to the city. So there's a lot of different things that we do to make sure that our community and our PD meets the needs that the community needs.
Right, and some of those include we organize a lot of our events. We run those ourselves. We help the homeless in the city. We have a lot of things set up for them. We deal with neighborhood disputes or issues. We get involved with those when it's something that patrol cannot handle or it keeps going on. They need somebody to intervene. We try to go in there and try to make a difference or help a little bit with that. We go out into the community. We do safety talks for elderly or whatever they need, active shooter stuff, anything they need. We can request. We'll go out to the community, businesses, whatever they need to help with, and we go and make that difference. We attend a lot of the cops and kids days, whether it's in the city or outside the city. We go represent for the city, which is what we did here. We won the trophy for this cops and kids day in Franklin County.
Which thanks to the mayor, we got a new van.
Yep, we took the van. That's how we won that. We do some recruitment stuff also, and when we need to help the patrol officers, we assist them on calls if it's necessary.
Yeah. So. And a little bit about the recruiting thing, it's actually a little fun fact that I like to tell people. When I used to work at Penn Station when I was in high school, Marshall used to come in always on Sundays. Okay, I remember that. He used to come in every Sunday, and I will always talk to him. and he like, hey man, just come out and ride with us. Just come ride with us. Come ride with us. And for us to be partners, I think that's really cool. He didn't remember it until I actually had to explain the details to him, but I think it's really cool that we were eventually able to become partners and have this successful community relations partnership.
So a lot of community members are going to see you around, not just at events like you had one this past weekend, giving away backpacks and school supplies and things like that. But they'll also see you around in, you know, one of the little ATVs that we have. You know, you're going to be driving around, all that stuff. But that's different than driving in a squad car, right?
It is.
And because what happens? So you're driving around, you're driving through a neighborhood, and you're in that. What's the usual community reaction?
So the community reaction with that is we're more accessible to the community, and we're not as scary, if you will, to the kids. So when they see us driving in that, we can go a lot of different places that a cruiser can't go, which allows us to get into the parks, get into the trails, anything of that nature. It allows us to get back there. And we even, from our elderly community, we have a successful time going back there, and they say, hey, we are glad to see you back here. Yeah. So the UTV or ATV, whatever you want to call it, I think it's a really big impact, and it allows us to carry promotional items that we give away to the kids, including free bike helmets.
Yeah. Well, I know that those are around. I know when we had the Guns N' Hoses baseball tournament, you know, there some things were collected for you know, the stuffed animals for you know, kids, and because again, a lot of times people are meeting you for the first time and probably not the best of circumstances, and to have some stuffed animals and kids' toys or something like that helps provide a little bit of comfort or a little bit of connectivity. And you're right, the scary aspect is there, especially nowadays. You know, I'm not a police officer, but from everything, it's not easy being a police officer in general, especially the last decade.
Right.
And so what we've tried to do here is focus on the community aspect of things and getting people out into the community. So instead of seeing just this random person in blue, now all of a sudden it is Officer King, it's Officer Marshall, it's, you know, whoever it is. And then conversely, it's also you recognizing some of the kids. I mean, one thing that I thought was really cool on Saturday is one of the group of kids that came in, that was not the first time that they had ever seen you. They knew who you were.
Yeah.
And that's gonna pay off 5 to 10 years from now when they're 13, 14, 15 years old, when you have 13 and 14 and 15 year olds, you know what I'm talking about. Then it changes things.
Yes.
And it's that little bit of a nudge that maybe can make a difference for those kids' lives all the way around.
Yeah, that they are, so far they've been at every event that we had together, and they're a really awesome family, and the kids are tremendous and they love us. So we always try to reach out to them to say, hey, we don't know if you've seen it or not, but this is what we're doing, to have them come and be a part of that event or whatever we're doing. It's actually really cool to see.
Well, one of your big events is going to be National Night Out, which is on Tuesday night next week. So talk about an exciting week next week between this, kicking things off, and then the Tomato Festival. But let's start. So what is National Night Out, and what is it that we're going to do? Where are we going? All of those fun things.
So I mainly run that. Officer King helps me with that, but it's a big event. It takes two of us to do this. It is a national event that's run through the United States every Tuesday, first Tuesday of the week in August. And we are doing it from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Woodview Apartments, which is off of Livingston Avenue. It's a community event, so it's open to the community to come out and interact with law enforcement. So to us, it's a huge event. I mean, we bring in our SWAT, we bring the detectives, we bring our motorcycle unit in, bike patrol, every specialized position we have, we bring them in. We also invite other agencies out. We got Franklin County Sheriff's Department's going to be out there, Ohio State Patrol, TTFD will be there with all their equipment. So we bring all these agencies in to help us interact, and we have a lot of giveaways. We have a raffle that we give stuff away. We got like 4 bikes this year, 3 scooters. I think Walmart donated 2 of the bikes, correct?
4
of the bikes.
All right, 2, sorry.
2 bikes,
2
and
bikes.
then Licking County Starfish Assignment donated 2 bikes and 3 scooters
Yep.
for us. So we're going to raffle all those off. We do budget quite a bit of money for this every year out of our budget to, we get snow cones. I think we're doing some cotton candy.
Cotton candy.
There's some food.
Just watching them try to make cotton candy alone is worth the price. I'm just telling you.
That stuff flies everywhere. It's like all the way up in the air.
And the snow cones make a mess too.
The snow cones,
But
yeah.
we've got that. We've got quite a few different vendors coming in. We got the Lions Club. They help come and volunteer quite a bit. A big shout out to April Darling. She's huge in our community. She is, without her, this would be tough to do. So she gets a lot of people helping us, gets a lot of stuff, volunteers and a lot of donations for us to do. We got some face painting coming. A couple of different churches are going to be coming, giving away some items and backpacks this year. We'll have a DJ there. Skyline Chili is going to be provided for free. We've got the Empowerment of Youth Foundation will be there doing their thing. And again, I want to give a shout out to Starfish Assignment, Lincoln County again, because they donated for us a lot of stuff, and every year they're willing to help us out when we need something. They don't hesitate. So, that's most of it all together. But you will see, everybody, all our officers out there. It's just a huge event. And usually, it turns out really well. Last year was great. Now that we was able to get back to it after COVID's.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I thought it was interesting last year when you can always tell where everybody's going. So the big draws are if any of our police dogs are there, that's a huge draw always.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you have the motorcycle units that are there.
Yep.
And then the other one, honestly, is the SWAT team. And this is the one where you see, the kids and you see a lot of the dads kind of going over there because they're looking at the SWAT equipment and stuff like that. But it's just nice because everybody can have a conversation, and there's no pressure. You're just having a talk, and you're asking certain things. And what I like about it is we move it around. It's not in any one specific location, and I think that's good because we are a very diverse and a varied community. And I think moving it around. Last year it was at the Oaks. This year it's at Woodview, and so it's moved around a little bit to make sure everybody knows about it because. I know this is shocking, but not everybody watches the Reynoldsburg City government Facebook page, and I don't know why everybody doesn't do it, but to get it out in parts of our community that maybe that's not really the thing that they're most interested in, but to make sure that everybody's there with it. Yes. And then you throw in the fire department and the sheriffs and everything else. It's a huge event, and I'm looking forward to it on Tuesday night. Yes. And you're right about April. April is a force of nature unto herself, and I know she'll be there. With bells on, and legitimately, she'll actually have bells on.
Yeah, it'll be ringing everywhere she goes.
Now, you guys are also part of something that is relatively new in Reynoldsburg, the Citizen Police Academy.
Yes.
And it is, for lack of a better term, I'm a graduate of that, and it was a phenomenal thing. I do highly recommend anybody who wants to get a different perspective on law enforcement. It's not like cop shows on TV. You know, it's not like that, but it does provide a lot of information. But the most important thing that I saw out of it is one, it's the dialogue between all the officers that come in from the various groups and the residents that are there, because residents are asking questions that, first of all, need to be asked, but not all the time are they going to ask. Yeah. Why is this that way? What about that? And then it comes back and people can see some real life examples from body cam footage about what officers have to deal with on a daily basis. And everybody throughout was I think they were very surprised at what it is and also kind of the intensity of it. It's not like there's just one event, a shift. It's, you go from one event to the next, to the next, to the next. Right, and it's never a dull thing. And the other one for me was the scenarios. I'm not going to tell any details about it.
Those are fun.
But they are. But the thing that surprised me and really surprised everybody is, so what they do is, basically you have your guinea pigs and you go in and you execute these different scenarios all the way throughout, and there's only one at a time, and then you're back into the main room. And everybody that comes back into the main room before the debrief, they all said the same thing. Their blood was pumping, their adrenaline was going. For sometimes 30 to 45 minutes after a scenario that is absolutely fake, that is absolutely not threatening, that is nothing bad is going to happen of it, and we all know it, and yet the body reacts in a certain way. And then when you really have that conversation, if that's what if that's what happens when you're doing it just in a scenario that is fake, that is completely safe for everybody, imagine what it would be like on a day-to-day basis, feeling those same things and going through it all the time. And then after the fact, I know I've talked to a few officers other than you, they get off their shift, and it's not like you go home and you're like, stretch and go right to bed.
You're up.
You're up because you got to let that body, you got to let it kind of decharge and all of that. And it's worth it. I do highly recommend it. You guys are phenomenal with it. You brought a lot of different pieces into it. We talked about it the other day, bringing a dispatcher in, which is why we had a dispatcher on there, because I think that's something that people need to know. Anything to kind of get an idea of what what officers go through and everyone within the police department what does, it helps all the way across. And when you get that intimate moment of having the class, it's perfect.
Yeah, and a lot of the times, the reason why we decided to bring the dispatchers in is they're often forgotten. And to me personally, this is my personal opinion, I think that dispatchers are like a big backbone to the department. They do a lot of things for us that people don't even see, and yet they're still going through the same trauma. You know, they get that phone call, that person screaming or yelling, and they can't do anything. They're stuck there to that computer. And a lot of people don't realize that, and that's why we thought it was important to make sure that the dispatchers can come in and show a little bit about what they do and play some of the recordings that you guys hear.
Some of the very unique recordings, yes.
And we can't do this job without them because they get us our information. You know, they start everything out. Our dispatchers are amazing. Do an amazing job, I believe.
Yeah.
It's interesting when because obviously we're around a lot, and officers will have their their radios on, and you'll hear it, and it's not like there's a paragraph's worth of dialogue. It's very quick. It's very succinct. It's very, this is what and then that's it. And I think it's obviously television shows a different side of it. But it's very interesting to see that you're able to get the dispatchers to give you the information that you need in such quick measures without, I don't want to say without the emotion of it, but without getting caught up in it. And they're able to get that clarity to you guys to get to you where you need. And so you know what you're walking into, which is a huge thing.
Yep, and I think that's super important for us just to know. And it's also cool when you go through the Citizens Police Academy too, you'll hear, we play a little snippet of a brief call that went out. It was supposed to be this, but it ended up being this type deal. And that's a lot of why we approach a lot of these calls the way we do, is because we go off the information that we're giving, but we also have to be able to make those quick decisions to turn it into something where, okay, this is what it is.
Well, those are pretty much my questions, but I'm going to bet that there's a few questions out there online.
Well, a lot of accolades to both of you, but we did have one question come in. It says, do you two feel any responsibility for RPG losing in the July 4th softball game since
Yeah, absolutely. You know why? Because we weren't there. You see, we bring the goal. That's exactly why. This is what it is.
But
this is what we do.
won the basketball game.
We won the basketball game. So I'm just saying, we wasn't there. Don't worry about it. We'll make it up next year.
I wonder who asked that question. I could look at it. I wonder, is Chief Sharps watching today?
Was not. That's all the questions that we had come in.
Well, there's obviously a very healthy relationship between what the officers do and what the fire department does, because a lot of things that you go to, they're going to be there as well. There's a nice friendly rivalry, and I'm sure I'm looking forward to the kickball tournament at the Tomato Festival, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Oh yeah, that would be fun. I'll bring home the goat again. So
there we go.
I said it. I put it out there.
I like how Marshall's like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, we're gonna bring it home. All right, bring it home.
All right. Well, if you guys wouldn't mind sticking around for a little bit, just want to go through some of the other things going on,
Absolutely.
and I'm sure we'll have some fun commentary as we go through. First of all, I just want to say, for all of you that didn't get a chance to watch the incredibly exciting council meeting this past Monday, the auditor's office was able to kind of provide a 6-month overview of where we're at from a financial standpoint in the city, and that's actually a huge thing, because that's what we do financially allows us to have budgets to do some of the things that you guys do, and just in general. And so it was nice to hear that, believe it or not, the city of Reynoldsburg is actually well above where we were last year in terms of revenue, which is a huge thing, because last year was the highest grossing year in the history of the city of Reynoldsburg, and we're actually even above that so far this year, even with some of the challenges that we've had out there with COVID and businesses having issues with employment and stuff like that. But we've also reduced a lot of spending as well, so we actually have spent $2 million less. So we're doing a really good job of maximizing those taxpayer dollars. And so what that will allow us to do is, as we move forward, we're looking at a lot of different projects. We're looking at improvements to Civic Park. We're looking at doing more roads and things of that nature. We're obviously talking about tools and equipment for the police department all the way around. So there's a lot of things out there. So big shout out to the auditor's office and the city administration and directors of all of us kind of working together and making sure we're doing everything that's right, especially in the uncertainty. And again, without getting into the weeds of life at City Hall, income taxes. That's how we get our money, and people who work from home has made an impact on a lot of cities in the state of Ohio, and so we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if we were going to be that much, are we going to lose money? Are we going to, we didn't know. And so we always prepare for, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. But this year so far we're in good shape, and hopefully, knock on wood, that kind of continues on. We also have some good news from code enforcement, so I'm going to show you a couple of pictures. So code enforcement, who occasionally does work with you guys,
Yes.
will have some things. So you may recognize this business. I don't know if you've seen it before, over off 256. So you kind of get an idea of what that's like, and you see some of the paint that's out there and things like that. And then after code enforcement kind of comes in, now all of a sudden you have this, and it looks a lot cleaner. It looks a lot more fresh, and that makes a huge difference in terms of just kind of like the quality, because you don't want to have anything in poor shape and disrepair all the way throughout. And obviously, Walmart being one of our bigger businesses, you want to make sure that that actually looks exactly the way it's supposed to do. So that's a shout out to our code enforcers. One other thing that code enforcement always talks about, and I've talked about on the show, is one of the things that's the responsibility of the property owners is to maintain kind of the walkways that they have, not only the sidewalks, but also kind of the shrubs and everything else that kind of go along with that. So when we talk about making sure your sidewalks are clear, that's what we're talking about. So you can actually go, so if you're on a walk and you've got a stroller, or if you're exceptionally tall, you're not running into trees and plants and things like that. I don't have to worry about the exceptionally tall part, but everything else is kind of there. So again, just to kind of give you an idea of what this is all about. So that kind of clears things up. And then we also have some property maintenance things like that. So you've got some apartment complexes where you see kind of the gutter falling down, and obviously nobody wants that to happen with the rain that is out there. So we do those types of things. And then now, and there you go, it's this picture. Might not be able to tell, but it's actually raining in this picture, but all of it's going through the gutter itself. So those are things that our code enforcers do. And one other thing, and this obviously is a huge thing with the sidewalk program, you can kind of see where the sidewalk is right there. If a kid is riding a bike or if somebody's walking, they could trip, fall, get injured. And sidewalks are the responsibility of the homeowners in Reynoldsburg, but we work with people to kind of figure out how to kind of adjust that. Sometimes, you have to do the full replacement. Other times they can grind certain things down. And then we also have kind of a combination thing here. We have some road work that was improved upon with Moyer Automotive and then the AMCO. We had them working together, and AMCO is actually one of the recipients of our minority, female, and veteran grants, and they actually use some of those funds to help repair the infrastructure. And so you can see it makes a huge difference in terms of our businesses to take care of kind of the parking areas and things like that. We do appreciate their support because, again, aesthetically and everything else, it just looks that much better, and it's safer for the community and all. So that's kind of a nice update for it. I know you guys are driving. When you're driving around, you can start to see different areas of town that, it doesn't seem like it would make a big difference, but when you go in and you see a clean, and freshly asphalted and striped and everything, it just looks cleaner. It looks nicer, and it makes you feel a little bit safer.
And that's one of the reasons why that we do work with code enforcement. Is when we're out there on that UTV, ATV type deal, we get into those places where we can actually call and be like, "Hey, did you see this back here?" "Oh no, I didn't. I'm on my way."
Yep.
And we'll meet and we'll look over and be like, "Hey, there's this," and they do a really good job of getting in on that property owner to make sure those things are fixed.
And I think, especially from the beginning when I got here versus to where we're at now, I think now it's one of those things where they understand this, and there's not nearly as much resistance. Business owners will know that this is actually what's in everybody's best interest, because that way people are attracted to come to their business. They can drive their cars in there and that thing. So again, appreciate the cooperation. We do have some updates for Main Street. Perhaps you've seen that there's construction out there. You guys seen that at all?
No.
You got Main Street?
Okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah. All right, so there's a little bit of work out there. They finished up the curb on, I guess you say, on the east side of Jackson, and so eventually that's going to switch over. So they're going to work on the other side. And then the stone work is continuing across Cotner's Funeral Home, so that's going to be done. And then they're going to work their way back and put in the curb and the sidewalk all the way throughout. The sidewalk is very much going to look the same as what you're seeing right now between the bridge and Vic's Pizza. So it's going to be that same brick on the outside, the concrete on the inside with the tree areas. Basically, we're calling them tree pits. I'm sure there's probably a better term for it, but that's my thing. So basically, big holes in the ground you put trees in. So we're going to have that, but that'll be all the way throughout, basically between the bridge and Wagner Road when it's all said and done. So that'll be completely new streetscape all the way across. So you're looking probably about 3, maybe 4 weeks left before they switch over and go to the other side, where you've got our local businesses that will always need your support, like Starstruck, Ohio Select, Prost, and Tempe Taco. Prost also, I think they have their Christmas in July special for those of you that want to celebrate a little bit early. But go out there, and we're going to work with them to make sure everybody has access to it. But ultimately, it's going to look really good all the way around.
Yeah, it's looking good right now.
It's getting there. We will get the power lines down as well. We're waiting on AEP. Obviously, weather is going to delay things for every day that it's out there. That'll be something that comes in. But probably what'll end up happening is you're going to drive down Main Street one day, and you're going to see all the power lines up in the intersection of Lancaster and Main, and then you're going to go home, and then the next day you're going to go, and they're going to be gone. And you may not notice them at first, but it's going to make a huge difference in that area all the way across. So appreciate everybody's patience with it. We are continuing to plow through with all of that. You're also starting to see some construction at Graham Road at the Palmer and Graham. So that way the bridge work is going to be there for a pedestrian bridge. And we'll also end up that sidewalk to nowhere so people can actually walk all the way through Graham to get to the 5-way intersection. So that's going to be huge. Big shout out to the Franklin County Engineers Office because they're the ones putting in the bridge.
That's good.
You know, they're putting that in there. It's at their cost. I know they've got one of the abutments in there right now, and I think probably in the next 2 weeks you're going to start to see the whole pedestrian bridge get installed. So that'll be a huge thing all the way around, especially for when we have events at the Livingston House. That just adds that extra parking. We already talked about the Citizen Police Academy, so hopefully, I think there might be some spots. I haven't looked at recently to see how many spots are left.
We got 2 left.
2 left?
I got 2 requests, actually, one last week and one today. So 2 spots left, but you can always send in your application. It goes in our file. It's completely secure, and then once we start that next class, we'll reach out to you.
This class starts this 22nd of September.
Okay, so you got a lot of things with that. We do have some information on the flood grants that I also shared with council. You know, given the fact that it is raining, everybody's very concerned about how the rain waters are going to impact everything, especially with flooding. So we were awarded a grant for over $300,000 from the federal government to actually address the issue. So it's really going to be a complex thing. It's going to be looking at all of our stormwater, our sewer. It's going to look at the creek itself. It's going to kind of evaluate what needs to be done to kind of alleviate or solve some of those problems. So that process is going to start very soon. We have to put the project out to bid because there's obviously guidelines that we have to make sure that we're qualifying and doing everything right. So the auditor and I met with the representative from FEMA last week, and so we're going to get that out to bid. And so we'll keep that up there. There's going to be at least 5 public meetings. There's going to be one that's going to kind of kick everything off so everybody will know what's going on overall. And then there'll be one at the very end to wrap up so FEMA can kind of share with us what exactly the solutions that are out there. The other ones in between will be very specific to different parts of town. So obviously, if you live near Blacklick Creek, odds are there's going to be a meeting specifically just for you in that particular area. That doesn't mean that that only the people that live off Briarcliff can go there. It just means that that's where the area of focus is going to be. But they're going to be completely open. We'll have them broadcast, assuming we can figure out how to broadcast everything through social media, but it'll be in our council chambers and all of that. So we do invite the community to attend or watch, so that way they're aware of what's going on. But flooding has been an issue in Reynoldsburg for 50, 60 years, and it has been exacerbated by a lot of intense weather. You know, I think even just the other day I saw that there was a rain event in Missouri, and they got 7.5 inches of rain in 24 hours, and it just completely overwhelmed things. So even things in their Main Street, USA, I mean, their cars were floating. And there's nothing we can do can prevent that, but at the same time, we want to try and do as best as we can for just the average rainfall. So we've got that. We also have a new grant that we're going to apply for. It's called the RAISE Grant. It's another federal grant that we're working on. This is actually going to improve Bryce Road. So this is going to be a huge project. So they're going to realign the intersection, and then they're going to go ahead and work from Bryce Road all the way to Livingston. So we're going to, new sidewalks, bike paths, maybe even a dedicated bicycle lane actually on Bryce Road. It'll be a full depth repair for the entire thing. So it'll be about a $10 million project. But that's what it is today. It'll probably be more than that when the time comes.
Yeah.
But it's going to really address those things. We're also going to try and bury some power lines. We're also going to make sure that it's aligned because we have the Alliance project that's going to be coming in, which is going to be huge. Hopefully we'll have some pictures for that in September. We also have the brand new library that's going to be going in, so that's another thing. So we want to make sure we have access for those facilities, and then also to walk across to Bryce Park, which we're getting closer, and you should start seeing some of those designs in the not too distant future. So there's a lot of things going on in Bryce Road. Really thrilled about doing it. That's going to be a priority for me moving forward. Is we're going to start at Main Street, and then we're just going to kind of plow through all the way until we get to 70. So A lot of good things there. For those of you that also didn't have a chance to watch, we did talk about Civic Park on Monday at the council meeting. So we have a whole bunch of new things. And I don't know if you saw any of it or heard about it. It's going to be a long-term project, but we're talking expanded trails. We're talking a dog park, a splash pad. We've got pickleball, basketball courts, tennis courts. We have an actual turf field for those with limited mobility, so everybody can participate in sports. It'll be about the size of an 11 by 11 soccer field, but you can also kind of adjust it for lacrosse as well. So we're going to have in there, we're going to have a number of additional parking spaces in there all the way across. So there's a lot of things that we're going to do with that. It is going to take some time, but we're going to utilize state dollars, federal dollars, grants. I usually dedicate about an hour or two a week just going through grant listings just to see what we can snag up and stuff like that. So we're going to really work on it. It's going to be huge. It's going to be great.
It's awesome.
So other than that, let's see what else we got. Development news. So, again, the city gets most of its money through income tax. So we have a couple of new things coming in. We have Caribou Coffee, which is going to be coming in. It's going to be on Main Street, right in front of the old Kroger. There's a 24-hour, the Ohio Health or Emergency Care. And then right next to that, right now it's just parking, but that's actually going to be where the new Caribou Coffee is going to go. So we're just working out the final details on where the drive-through portion of it goes, but there'll be some patio seating out there as well, so you can grab a cup of coffee there. We're going to have a brand new hotel, Hilton Hotel, actually in the 256 corridor. For you guys, if you remember, you got BW3s, Olive Garden, IHOP, that big empty field right there. That's where that hotel is going to go.
Oh, that's going to look good.
We're going to work with them to bring in another restaurant in that area as well, something that kind of complements some of the other things going on. I'm working on roosters. I'm working on it. I know.
I had to throw it out there.
I appreciate it. We also have, and this is kind of a new thing that maybe, I don't know if everybody's familiar with it, crumble cookies. Have anybody heard of that?
Oh, they're delicious.
Yep. So we're going to have our very own. That's going to be in our 256 shopping corridor. So keep an eye out for that. That one will probably open in the next month or two. So as soon as we have that, I'm sure we'll do a grand opening. And if you guys want to come along to help, make sure the quality control for the cookies to make sure.
We got a taste test, right?
Yeah.
I think just for the community.
We got to let them know.
Always for the community.
Always for the community. Always.
The sacrifice of RPD just never stops. I appreciate it.
We'll hit the treadmill afterwards.
Yeah, that'll be it. That may be a dangerous thing because you guys have your substation right there at 256 too. So
Yeah. So
if you walk, then
that's what we got to do. That's what I was going to say. We either walk or take the bikes there, and we're good. We'll burn those cookies
right off. There we go.
I'll burn it off.
Yeah, perfect.
We also have the farmers market tomorrow. A couple of highlights for tomorrow's market: Darnella's Desserts, Nova Terra Farm, and the fun thing is they Head to Toe by Marcy Joe, just because it rhymes. So come on out and take a look at all of those places at the farmers market at JFK. It's going to open up at 4:00. It'll be there till 7. So far, the weather looks like it's going to be pretty good for tomorrow night, so come on out to the farmer's market. And if the weather isn't, we don't matter, because Jennifer's going to wear her no-rain rain boots, and that'll just keep all the rain away from her.
She has an awesome cowboy hat, too.
I know, yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, it's authentic. You know where she had to go to get it?
No.
She couldn't just get it here. You don't get a cowboy hat in Central Ohio. You go to Nashville. And she went to Nashville.
There we go.
You got to go. If you're going to do it, you got to do it right.
That's true.
So that's how we do things. And now the fun stuff, this Tomato Festival. We talked about what's going on Thursday, Friday, and now get comfortable because Saturday is just jam-packed with a ton of things. We have a senior walk that's going to start off in the morning, starting around 8:30 in the morning. But it's not a 5K, it's not a race. It's just a senior walk to go out and kind of wander and go from basically JFK Park to around by the golf course in Black Lake and back, give or take a little bit. We do have a car show from 11 to 4:30. That's always fun because you can see, I'm not a car person in terms of I couldn't fix anything, but I can look at them.
Me and him are on the same page.
Yeah.
I might go fix something.
There you go. But they'll have a lot of cool things there. And some of the cars that they do, people obviously take very good care of it. So it's always a good show to see that there. We have the pickleball tournament. We do have the return of the Tomato Festival pageant, and this is going to be a long thing. We've got it starting at 10:30 until 2-ish. We'll go with 2-ish. I have the privilege of introducing a number of the judges and candidates for the Tomato Queen and Tomato King Festival, so that'll probably start around 1 or so. And of course, I will ask the most important question, what is your idea of the perfect date? So for those of you that have ever watched Miss Congeniality, the answer to that question. But it's going to be great to have that there. We have the Guns and Hoses kickball tournament that we've talked about
That's right.
at 11:30.
We'll be ready, nice and stretched.
Yep, I was going to say, got to make sure you loosen up those calf muscles.
So I was just about to say the calves are important to
Yep.
make sure that you stretch them out real good.
Got to be able to kick that ball exactly the right way.
I don't want those to get cramped.
Definitely not. We have Jazz and Dance, who's going to do their performance at 11 o'clock. We have a fencing tournament, which is brand new this time. So we're going to have some fencers out there, and I believe it's not just going to be, the fencing is what we traditionally do to it. I believe there might be some other options with there as well. Something that's, I would think we would have to participate. Something I think that would go very well with me being a Star Wars fan. That's my hint to you, and we're just going to have to see.
Looking forward to see how well you do with that.
Yeah,
probably
it's gotta be good. We also have our pizza challenge. One of my favorite things, really the biggest qualified thing that I can do at the Tomato Festival. So we're going to have a number of different places. So we've got Marco's, Romeo's. We're working on a few other ones just to confirm for everything, so we can figure out who has the best pepperoni pizza in Reynoldsburg, and we're also going to find out who has the best specialty pizza in Reynoldsburg. So every year it's different. Not everybody has won the last couple of years. Everything's different. But it'll be $5, and you'll get your opportunity to have your pepperoni selection, and then you'll get a drink, and same thing on the other side. So we're looking forward to that. We do have a spaghetti challenge this time as well. This is going to be sponsored by Carfagna's, so it's going to be really good. And some people are staring at the officers here to have them volunteer for it. But we're looking for some suggestions of who you think should be there. I'm the MC, so I'm going to be talking about everything. But there's going to be a great opportunity there to kind of drum up a little support. I mean, this is a tomato festival, and tomatoes and marinara sauce, you got to put it all together. So special thank you to Carfagna's for helping with this one. For those of you that don't like spaghetti but still would like to enjoy kind of a little bit of tomato, you have that 3 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. Painting with wine. So it's not necessarily tomatoes, but it's wine. But you'll probably paint something with a tomato, or at least depending on how many glasses you have, it'll look like you're painting something like a tomato. We have the dunk tank from 4 to 6. We do have 2 spots left, but we have Chief Baker and Chief Sharks will be there. I'll be there. Auditor Sisak will be there, and a few others. So we're taking some suggestions if you have any couple of ideas. Basically, it's for fundraising for the Leo Club. Leo Club is a great school organization that is sponsoring for pediatric cancer research and blood research, and all of the donations you have go specifically to this organization, and they do a phenomenal job as school's getting ready to kick back up. We had a great turnout last year. It was a lot of fun just because some people who came up, regardless of whether they had the strongest arms or not, pretty much everybody got dunked a dozen times or so throughout. So it's a great opportunity. We have bingo, 2 rounds, 2:30 and 5 o'clock. We also have Zumba at 5:30. During the kids zone the entire day, we've got the co-side lunch. We've got the bees that are contained, so they're not flying around. We also have story time with the library that'll be there in our kids zone. And that's in addition to all the other fun stuff like the rides and the carnival atmosphere and all the great food that is not healthy at all, but it's going to be really good. So they'll be there. And this will all lead up to our musical acts for the night. We're going to kick off with Reynoldsburg's own Ruvain. You probably know him from the 12 o'clock show theme song. So he was actually the author of that one. But he does other things too. So he'll be out there performing as we lead up to Plain White Tees, a Grammy Award-winning act coming in. Most of you will know him from their Hey There Delilah. That's probably their biggest song. So they're going to be there as well for that one. So we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a huge thing. The whole city basically at this point has shut down almost everything and is just focusing on the Tomato Festival right now. So we're looking forward to that. In the meantime, we do have a couple of things coming up this weekend. We've got the Raider football team cash drop that was washed out last week. It's going to be there. It's all the usual locations, Rose Hill and Main Street, the 5-way, things like that. So supporting our Reynoldsburg Raiders as they get ready for their home opener on August 19th. It's going to be against Upper Arlington, but they're going to be celebrating a couple of things. They're going to celebrate the first OCC championship from 1993, and then the first playoff win for the Reynoldsburg Raiders from the 2001 team. So we're going to try and get as many alumni groups as possible to come back and actually support the Raiders for that. So we hope you're all there. Next week, we're going to come to you live from Heber Park with Parks Director Donna Bauman as we talk about all the things for the Tomato Festival. So it's going to be a live shot out there. We appreciate Donna going out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to kind of get a view of where the vendors are going to be. We're going to talk about where some of the food is. If we're really lucky, they're already going to be setting some of that stuff up. So we're looking for that. Any questions or comments? Anything coming up?
We did get a question. It says, who should I reach out to at the city for advisement on a settling sidewalk?
On a settling sidewalk, I would actually reach out to our service department. That'll be the first one to do. Usually what we try and do is the sidewalks, when we're doing the local roads, the residential roads, we try and address those sidewalk issues during that point in time. But if it's something outside of that, we'll direct you to some contractors that the city has worked with before that's registered, so we'll get that taken care of.
That's it.
All right. Again, officers, we do appreciate you coming in today and taking the time to talk with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You do a
Definitely.
phenomenal job. We love the community support. Everybody talks about you guys. I know that every now and then, the trading cards come out and everybody's
Yes.
looking for
We're
those
actually
as well.
out, so
Are you guys
we're
Use
getting
them up,
replenished.
Yeah, we're getting new order.
So
coming in.
we are completely out. But just one more thing before we go. I do host Shop with a Cop. I am the officer in charge for that. So if you are wanting to donate, please get a hold of me. Or if you would like to just go ahead and pick up the Target gift cards, whatever the amount is. The more money that I can get raised for that, the more kids I can help with Shop with the Cop.
And you want to explain, Zach? Some people might not know what that is.
Yeah, so Shop with the Cop, just a brief overview, just because we're so far out. But we basically get other cops to come in. We go into Target. We have so much money raised, and we actually buy kids the Christmas gifts that they want for either themselves or their families. So it's a really cool event to be a part of. And if you guys want to come out and join us, you absolutely can.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of great things that the police officers do that I think not all the time everybody gets an idea about. So we appreciate it. With that, I will take the leave of a wonderful rainy Wednesday here in Reynoldsburg. But again, the sun will come out, and it's going to be great for this weekend. And we'll see you at the Tomato Fest next weekend. Stay safe, stay respectful, and of course, as always, please put away your shopping carts. I can't make it a criminal offense, but I would if I could. It's not hard to put them away. I'm
Yeah,
just
don't
saying.
leave them by the substation either.
Yeah.
7639 Farmsbury.
Yeah.
Okay, it's really hard to take those back.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you.